Alright guys, this is something I wanted to do last year, but I just never got the time, never made the correct list, and this isn't a gigantic list by any means, but I liked the video that the Off the Rope Show did last year, and I wanted to do the same thing, so really I want to thank them for kind of giving me the idea to go ahead and do this. They haven't done it yet, so I'm just going to give my own awards, my own thoughts, whatever the case might be. So let's just get this bad boy on the road. If you want, send me any and all video responses you have. Comment any and all awards you think. If I missed one in your opinion, go ahead. Don't just say I missed one though, because most of these I thought out most of these very well. What I liked about it, what I didn't, what I was missing, what could have happened, etc. So let's just dive right in. Biggest surprise of the year in WWE. I'm doing WWE and TNA. I would do Ring of Honor. Yeah, there's my lie. I would do Ring of Honor if they actually went ahead and got a real TV deal. But I'm not going to do Ring of Honor because it's not there. Then I could just... People are going to get bitch. Why aren't you doing New Japan? Why aren't you doing All Japan? Why aren't you doing Chikara? Why aren't you doing all this shit? And I don't want to hear that. So I'm just going to do the main two top wrestling brands, if you will. The top two wrestling conglomerates. Alright, so WWE, big surprise here, in my opinion, Brock Lesnar. When he quit UFC, there's already the rumors going around that he's going to join WWE. Those rumors were already there. And you know what? Even though you hear rumors sometimes, you don't always believe it to the fullest. But this is something I legitimately believed wasn't going to happen. I just couldn't see Brock Lesnar coming back and even wrestling a match. Maybe an appearance, but wrestling a match. And he did it twice with arguably the two top guys in the past decade. So honestly, biggest surprise of the year, Brock Lesnar's return, and that was a big fucking deal. The YWC went nuts, common fans went nuts when Brock Lesnar came back. Even UFC fans were like, whoa, Brock's back in WWE, why? And all that shit. It caused a lot of good controversy. So I'd say that's the big surprise of the year. TNA's biggest surprise of the year, Austin Aries winning the World Heavyweight Championship with Destination X. Again, like, you can believe it could happen, but you don't truly believe it happened till it actually happens. It was like a make it or break it for Austin Aries and TNA, and bam, when he won the world title, it was a big deal. It was the only time in the past 2 to 3 years I've heard Mike Tenay have any excitement in his voice. It really is, because Mike Tenay is kind of boring nowadays. He doesn't get excited about anything, but he was kind of excited when Austin Aries won the world title. So, if Mike Tenay gets excited about something nowadays, it must be pretty damn good. Okay, most disappointing performer of the year, WWE, Chris Jericho. Where do I start? He comes back. He says nothing for the longest time. Wrestles in the Royal Rumble, loses. Wrestles at Elimination Chamber, loses. Wrestles at WrestleMania, loses. Wrestles at Extreme Rules, loses. I think he had a fail for it over the limit, loses. No way out if he even wrestled, he probably lost. No, I think that's when he had that whole Brazilian thing going on, all that stupid shit. Russell at SummerSlam wins, where he should have lost, to lose the next night on Raw. You'll be hearing just a tad bit more about that. Now, the most disappointing performer for TNA, AJ Styles. He's still doing the stupid fucking Kazarian Daniels BS. Ugh. It just feels like it'll never freaking end. It really doesn't. The short time he was competing for a major spot, just like nothing. Just nothing about... He, in my opinion, is easily the biggest star in TNA history. Easily. He's... If they're going to start the Hall of Fame 10 years later, he should be the first Hall of Fame inductee. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, TNA Hall of Fame, if they keep it around. If TNA stays around. But, God, they've buried the son of a bitch so much. I have no choice but to put him as the most disappointing performer. Because it's not even his fault. I'll at least say that much. Jericho and Styles, it's not even their fault. Because they've had good matches. The thing is, when you bury somebody so much, like they are Jericho and Styles, they lose the value of their own wrestling career, and they lose the value of who they are, and it's really disappointing to see Jericho and Styles when they should have more out of them than they were given. Alright, worst stories of the year. Anything with AJ Lee falling in love. Her best one was Daniel Bryan, because it was the first time. The first time was always the best 9 times out of 10. But oh my god. Then we go to Kane, we go to Punk, we go to Cena, we go to Dolph. How much of a whore can you make a woman before everyone's like, you know what? I don't want to touch her because she's a whore. People need to be like, she's a whore. Because she is a whore. There's no doubt in my mind that she's a flaming whore. I mean, if this was Attitude Era, it would be like, you give blowjobs and shit like that. And, you know, if it wasn't for the PG era, she would be recognized as the fucking whore instead of just the drama queen, stupid shit like that. TNA, the AJ Dixie Carter storyline. Not just the fucking thing between AJ and Dixie, but then they brought in Claire Lynch and revealed Daniels and Kazarian's behind the whole fucking thing with the cheesy ass ending with a businesswoman. Oh, she felt guilty. I don't give a fuck. I didn't give a fuck at the beginning of it, and I gave even less at the end. Pretty bad. Best story. I couldn't really find a best feud of the year, but some honorable mentions I put up there. Big Show, Sheamus have had some pretty good matches. Pretty decent story for the most part. Orton vs. Del Rio. It was just two upper mid-carders going at it. I like that. Nothing wrong with that. Danielson and Punk. Danielson and Punk. Daniel Bryan. Where the fuck you want to call him? Bryan Danielson versus Punk. Their feud was pretty good overall. Really good matches. The only reason I don't think it's feud of the year is because fucking AJ Lee sucking the life out of everything in existence. Literally half the time sucking. It's stupid. But my best story of the year for today is a tie. I couldn't really decide. They're both even because they both had decent build. One better on other build, one had better capitalization. So it's like... But Cena Rock, Triple H Taker, they're a tie. Because Cena Rock had the better build, but I felt like Triple H Taker had the better capitalization. I mean, like, Rock beat Cena, and then they never really capitalized on it. It's not like Cena lost to The Rock, Cena's no longer there, blah, blah, blah. It's the same old Super Cena BS. While you see the effects of Triple H and... They got a TV. While you see the effects of Triple H and Taker. TNA storyline, easy. Bobby Roode, James Storm. The way they built this throughout the whole entire year was some meetings and not a whole lot, like at Lockdown and Bound for Glory being the capitalization of Bound for Glory. The way the whole entire story was done, and sometimes the teasing of beer money and whatever kind of fail four-way or tag team match they might have a triple threat, like we saw at Turning Point. Just some of the stuff they did with these guys in the promos. Huh. I don't like today. Today feels weird. It's the 22nd, by the way. Okay, yeah. And then the whole capitalization and just the way the promos, everything that was built in Roode vs. Storm was pretty good. It could have been made better at times, but the way they did the whole feud, I can't complain about it. It was a pretty good feud. That's not Rachel. People annoy me. There's like a Mexican family, but there's a little white girl outside. I wonder if it'd be a dick move to open the window and say, "Shut the hell up!" By the way, this is going to go over 15 minutes, so I'm not rushing. Yeah, push that cart, bitch. Anyways, now that I feel like a dick. Worst feud of the year, Del Rio versus Sheamus for WWE. He had 3 pay-per-view matches, and I believe at No Way Out, Del Rio was supposed to fight Sheamus, but was replaced. Okay. This sucked. It really did. I never once believed that Del Rio was going to take the world title off of Sheamus, and just the promos were boring, and everything about this feud was boring. It's almost at the point where it tainted Sheamus' title reign, where he could have had like a one-on-one match with Jericho or something. He had it with all fucking Del Rio. And nobody cared. I didn't care. I sure as hell know I didn't care. But whatever. Worst feud for TNA, Bobby Roode, Sting. You had these guys facing off twice. Okay? You had these guys face off twice. Neither one of the times Bobby Roode could beat Sting clean. Just... Okay. I get Sting's a legend. No doubt in my mind. Sting's a legend. A+. Alright, go Stinger. But there's a point in time where you gotta say he's a 50-year-old man. And he should not be able to have the world champion, the longest reigning world champion, cheat just to beat him. It should not be believable. And it's kind of bullshit, to be honest. But you'll be hearing more about Sting and Bobby Roode. Let's just say that. Biggest miss of the year, CM Punk in WWE. You had him have a pretty good feud with Jericho overall, but it just never got the thing it needed. And then you have him on Daniel Bryan. It was good for a while, and then AJ Lee comes in and runs it. Something with Kane for a while, just runs it. Seems like he's going to feud with Big Show and Cena. Never went anywhere. And then you have him face Cena at Night of Champions the one time. Not even the one time, but one of the many times Cena just needed to job clean. He just had to job clean. Nothing. And you get Hell in a Cell with the whole Brad Maddox thing, and the ending being cheesy as fuck. It's stupid, and it was just a mess. It was just a clusterfuck of a thing when it came to Ryback and Brad Maddox and CM Punk and Paul Heyman at Hell in a Cell. It was stupid, and it never went anywhere. And then you have Survivor Series being tainted once again with the Shield. I'm not saying it's a bad or good thing, but the point is, when Punk pinned Cena, it wasn't even because Punk pinned Cena. It was because Ryback beat the fuck out of Cena just for Punk to get the pin. So whatever there. And then, biggest miss for TNA? Aces and eights. Oh boy. Where do I start? Okay. So you have aces and eights. I think it was 3 guys. They attack Sting. Whoop-de-fucking-do. And you know what you get after that? Random beatdowns, and then this fucking guy, and this fucking guy, and this fucking guy, where it seems like there's 12 members instead of 8, but I guess there's 8 members, and then you have Devon get revealed at Bound for Glory, and the fans were chanting, this is awkward, and then No Surrender, they had fucking random Ace and Eight's bitch number 1 versus Austin Aries, and that went nowhere, and all these invasions, and then 5 to 6 months later in the story, from July after June after Slammiversary all the way to December, you have 2 members revealed. 5 months plus 2 members are revealed. One's holding a belt, and that's the one that probably doesn't need it. I'm the only one that has a problem with that. That's reason alone the Aces and Eights suck. Not to mention how much build they've had the whole entire year to do nothing. They don't even mean anything anymore. They're just a side faction there. TNA's not even teaming up to take them out. They're just like, oh, well, they're here. Let's just... whatever. It's just a whatever. Hulk Hogan doesn't even care about Aces and Eights anymore. He was the one that had the biggest problem with them at first, and now he doesn't even care. Ace and Eight's just the other fucking Impact. Tried to attack him, but he's more focused on Bully Ray. Whatever. Fucking stupid. Let's more positive note. Best pay-per-view of the year. WWE, WrestleMania. You could also argue Extreme Rules. But I feel when 27 sucked and then you go to 28, and this pay-per-view needs to be big and have big capitalization and great matches and great stories, I felt WrestleMania for the most part did that. It was a pretty good WrestleMania compared to recent years. In Extreme Rules, it's a side pay-per-view that kind of overdone expectations. So WrestleMania should have high expectations for. Extreme Rules, you don't really have any expectations. So of course Extreme Rules is going to be good. Just saying. And then we go to TNA, pay-per-view of the year. Just like WWE, when you have that big pay-per-view of the year, it needs to be good, it needs to have something. Bound for Glory this year is more progression, but it was good progression. Bound for Glory, pay-per-view of the year. You could also say Slammiversary. I thought Slammiversary was okay, other than the main event being Sting and Rude. If it wasn't the main event and Bobby Roode would beat Sting clean, I'd maybe even consider putting Slammiversary as pay-per-view of the year easily. Worst pay-per-view of the year, WWE, No Way Out. The main event was Big Show Cena in a steel cage. The triple threat for the WWE title was where? Not the main event. You had Punk, Bryan, and Kane going at it in a triple threat for the World Heavyweight title with AJ Lee being involved. And you have fucking Cena show as your main event. And people are wondering why CM Punk isn't taken as a serious champion. Fuck you, Cena. You've run WWE. It's not all Cena, but having to be that glory hog. If Cena was to stop and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be the main event. Maybe I just shouldn't be the main event. If he's to stop and say that, make more sense. And he wouldn't be the main event. So Cena is to blame a little bit. He does have that political power to say, you know what, I think Punk should be in the main event, but he doesn't because he doesn't care about business. He cares about himself. At least I could say that most of us in that situation would have that Cena thing and we'd want to be the main event. But at the same time, it's like, if you want to act like you're the real heart and soul of WWE and that good fucking guy that you want to be Cena, and fucking put Punk in the main event for once without you being in it. You dick ass. TNA, worst pay-per-view of the year? Against All Odds. The same pay-per-view where you had Zema Ion breaking Jesse Sorensen's neck. The pay-per-view was flat enough as it is. And to start to show off with that, I left a bad taste in my mouth the whole fucking pay-per-view. So, Against All Odds, worst pay-per-view of the year easily. Superstar of the year, WWE, CM Punk. He's held the fucking biggest title in WWE. Not the world title, but the biggest title in WWE. The WWE Championship for the whole year. He is the longest reigning champion in the modern era. That means something. In a way, it still means something. At the same time, it doesn't, since he hasn't had real competition. But it still technically means something. Okay, it just does. So CM Punk is easily Superstar of the Year. TNA, Superstar of the Year, Austin Aries. You could try James Storm, but he never really won the world title at all this year. So that's like, you know, it just doesn't have that full meaning that it could have if James Storm was to win the world title. But he didn't. And Bobby Roode, you know, you could argue Bobby Roode. But just like Punk, his title reign was so flat. Most of his defenses were cheating. The one clean victory I can think at the top of my mind, Rob Van Dam. That was in a ladder match at Sacrifice. I'm just saying. It just wasn't that good. So Austin Aries is my Superstar of the Year for TNA. With the way he was built from the X Division to the world title scene. And even now, he's still getting involved with Bully Ray and Hulk Hogan. So it's even... You have to decline after holding the world title, but it's not like he declined so bad he's almost irrelevant. He just declined to a different story. So I'm not complaining by any. Austin Aries Superstar of the Year. Now we get to what most will feel is the most important part of this video, what most of you might have been looking forward to, the list. The way I'm doing this, I have my 5 best of WD, my 5 best of TNA, my 5 worst of WWE, my 5 worst of TNA. I'm going to go best WWE, worst WWE, worst TNA, best TNA. So let's just go ahead and start on the list. My honorable mention for best in WWE, Dolph vs. Cena. The reason it's not number 5 instead of what number 5 is. Okay. I'm going to try not to get mad. The whole fucking year. The whole fucking year. Okay. The whole fucking year, you have Cena everywhere. Fucking everywhere. I hate the fucking douchebag. You have him main eventing Over the Limit with John Laurinaitis. Even though it wasn't the wrong decision, he beat Brock, but then the wins fucking added up, left and right. He made events No Way Out with Big Show when we knew he was going to win. He just had to. Okay. And then, we had SummerSlam. Triple threat. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Oh, wait, no, before that, we had Money in the Bank. Where he wins Money in the Bank. And then the SummerSlam Triple Threat. Where he just had to end the match standing tall in a way. He just couldn't do the job. And then the Night of Champions. The shitty German suplex where he pins himself. Could have at least been a German suplex where Punk gets his shoulder up and Cena's shoulder still on the mat. Something like that. Or even a Punk with his foot on the ropes. But no. Not only was it the point where Punk couldn't cheat to beat Cena, it was at the point where Cena had to pin himself. In Hell in a Cell, he was supposed to main event. I'm glad he didn't, because he probably won the fucking belt there. In the Survivor Series, the one time I was actually happy with him in the match. He did the fucking job like he needed to. Thank God. Maybe. Probably not thank God, but thank somebody. And then TLC. Dolph needed a clean victory. Have him with the briefcase. Hit him over the head with the briefcase while they're on top of the ladder. Or tie him up with handcuffs to the turnbuckle. Something. But you just had to have him climb the ladder all the way for AJ Lee to push him off. You could not say Dolph is good enough on his own to beat fucking Cena. He needed help. Had to. Just had to. Maybe I'd accept a little more for this Biggie Langston coming out with AJ Lee, and if Biggie Langston takes that, maybe I could just agree with it more, because that'd have been a bigger deal. But it's just AJ Lee being the slut she is, screwing Cena. Both ways. Tainted. In a way, I can almost put that as worst, because fucking, it's so much more meaningless. It doesn't have the meaning it should. But let's go ahead and start the best list for today. Number 5, Shield versus Ryback and Hell No. TLC. Happened recently. The reason I like this, it wasn't just like the Nexus where you had a smudge of bodies, and this guy doesn't mean a whole lot, but he's decent. This guy doesn't mean a whole lot, he's decent. And yeah, Boy Bear, he's okay, but he's not really defined. In this 6-man tag match, the Shield, as a faction and as individuals, I felt defined themselves. Even Roman Reigns defined themselves. All 3 of these guys defined that they could hold their own, knew what they were doing, and could put up a damn good fight and win against Hell No and Ryback. It wasn't like they cheated. They just gave out a big fucking a battle royal for all, brawl for all, fucking, we're gonna whoop your ass. And it was good. Sure, near the end, you had Ryback coming and trying to save Bryan, but that's the way it should have been. And it was damn good. And even Seth Rollins took a big bump in the match. I felt like this is a match that could be looked on for years upon years, months. It could be looked on for a while if you're trying to remember the Shield, and this could be remembered as one of their cornerstone matches. Number 4, Punk vs. Bryan over the limit. For the WWE Championship, this was after the whole Bryan loses the world title. It almost looked like for a while Bryan was going to win the WWE title, but the combination of the pin and submission, I like the way that's done. This is when the feud was looking good. And then you have to bring AJ Lee, and you just had to. And then the whole feud escalated. Then you bring Kane, and then it's like a fatal 4-way of dick sucking, and it sucked. Kind of a damn shame, honestly. Number 3, Cena versus Lesnar, Extreme Rules. I know this isn't going to be near as high for other people, but just the brutality of the match, this being one of the few times we saw a lot of blood, the way Cena was getting beat up. Say what you want about Cena winning, but the way he got beat up most of the match and he had to use brass knuckles to get an advantage and then F-U'd him on the stairs, it does mean something that he had to get that last chance strike to win. It wasn't like Cena put up a good fight. Like Triple H. Triple H should not be going one-on-one with Lesnar and putting up a good fight. Okay? When you're fighting Lesnar, you shouldn't be putting up a good fight unless you're Kurt Angle or Ken Shamrock. Someone that can legitimately fight. Even a Big Show, maybe. But Cena was not putting up a good fight against Brock. He was getting his ass kicked the majority of the match, as well as he should have been. So I did like Cena and Lesnar. I thought it had very good storytelling, and I liked the after effect it had. Number 2, Triple H versus Taker. Number 2. You guys probably know what number 1 is, and I'll explain why after. But WrestleMania, good match, good ending, involvement of Shawn, the way it ended when they're all going to the stage as a team. Just the respect in the match, good storytelling, good match, telling him to stay down. Good. I love the way it was done. But number 1, I feel, when you have a match, you look back at 2007, people were talking about this. People were talking about this a lot. But you have a match that a lot of people weren't sure would ever happen. And then it does. And it has a year in build. And it's not for the title, but it's the main event. That's your most important match. Because everyone saw Triple H Taker coming again. I saw it coming again. I really did. But when you have this match that at a time no one thought would ever happen, and it's the one time of the year that Cena does a clean job one-on-one to The Rock, it's a big fucking deal. This was a huge match. This is the match it's going to be looked on for a long time. This is the match that down the road people are going to recognize, okay? It just is. Cena vs. Rock would have been better if it was Cena Austin, easily, or Punk Austin even. But Cena Rock is a big era versus era match. Big star versus big star. Once hated, once hated. One's loved now, obviously. One's not. No surprise. But this is just two guys that, in history, if they could have gone one-on-one, they should have, and they did. And it was a big deal, and it's something that mattered, and easily the match of the year, especially since Cena lost. Now my worst matches for WWE of the year. Number 5, Y2J vs. Dolph Ziggler, SummerSlam. The match wasn't bad. It was pretty good, actually. But I know even shitty WWE had it booked the next night for Money in the Bank versus Career. I know they had that planned out before SummerSlam. They just had to have. Even if it was a last-minute announcement and what it should have been SummerSlam, Money in the Bank versus Career at SummerSlam, the one you're paying for. Do I like it as the fact as a main event on Raw? Sure. But this should have been Money in the Bank versus Career at SummerSlam. It would have meant more, and it would have meant more for Dolph, instead of beating him on fucking Raw. Okay? So for the fact that it's stupidity and tainted, I gotta give it number 5. Number 4, Justin Gabriel versus Jack Swagger, Elimination Chamber. I like Justin Gabriel. I really do. He's got some talent. He's pretty agile in the way he moves in the ring. And I think if you gave him a mid-card belt, he could run with it for a while. Even the tag team belts. I think if you give him a decent belt that's not a huge belt, he could run with it for a while. But you bury him again and again and again, and he never gets the real opportunity to get over, and it's just like, at the point, it doesn't matter anymore. And it's kind of a damn shame that they just never give somebody like a Justin Gabriel the right to run and actually have a chance with the title. And this is an example of stupidity when Jack Swagger, look at Jack Swagger now. I think Justin Gabriel should have gone over here at Elimination Chamber. I really do. Number 3, the Divas tag match at WrestleMania. It was just boring. Nobody cared. Number 2, Big Show, Cody Rhodes, Extreme Rules. I wanted to put WrestleMania. You could put both here, WrestleMania and Extreme Rules. Because WrestleMania, he speared him in the fucking nutsack, and Big Show won the Intercontinental. That's not the problem. I think Big Show should have held the Intercontinental title for a little bit longer. But then you got Cody Rhodes at Extreme Rules, where Big Show steps on the table for Cody Rhodes to hold the title back to lose it pretty much the next pay-per-view to Christian. Why? Why the whole Extreme Rules thing? I figured when it was a tables match, Cody Rhodes was going to retain. I was hoping they would have enough knowledge to go ahead and say, hey, you know what, let's just hold on to Big Show for a while, and maybe he could lose it down the road to a Wade Barrett. Or a Del Rio, even. But instead, they just gave back to Cody Rhodes for Cody Rhodes to give to Christian. And it's just stupid. It didn't mean anything. It really didn't. Number 1, Bryan, Sheamus, WrestleMania. Again, you can't even call the match back as it's 18 seconds, and it made sense for Sheamus to win. But I went in hoping for a 15, 20-minute match, maybe longer, decent one-on-one match where Bryan could solidify himself as a main eventer, Sheamus could solidify himself as a main eventer, and these guys would benefit because of it. What you got instead was a bullshit win, AJ Daniel Bryan storyline, Daniel Bryan looking more of a bitch than he already did, Sheamus having a victory that's not a true victory that should have helped the start of a great world title run. You did not get that. I don't blame him for trying the 18-second thing, but at the same time, something better could have happened even if it was a 13, 10-minute match, hopefully 15 at least, decent one-on-one match where both guys would benefit because of it. You didn't get that. You got that at Extreme Rules, but we needed it here at WrestleMania instead. Now, my worst matches for TNA. Number 5, Rob Van Dam versus Magnus No Surrender. Kind of like the whole thing about no job Rob. He just couldn't job here at No Surrender. The match wasn't bad. But this should have been the point where Magnus beats RVD and then tries to go after Joe's television title. Then maybe it could have been believable for Magnus to win that television title. But you didn't get that. You got RVD beating Magnus before RVD was even X Division champion, which he could have still become X Division champion. They should be solidifying Magnus as a upcoming heel, not just a heel stirring the pot a little bit, not really winning. Because that's what he is. Number 4, Bobby Roode versus Sting. Couldn't choose one, but let's go with Slammiversary. You could go with either. I'm just gonna talk about both. Victory Road. It wasn't for the title, so Bobby Roode could have easily won. But you have him doing the Scorpion Death Drop and hitting the back of his head on a chair. It was just stupid. And then Slammiversary, the one where I felt Bobby Roode needed to win clean the most. You have him going one-on-one for the world title. Big deal. Sting's in the Hall of Fame. Yay. He's already solidified in the Hall of Fame. He means something already. Yet you have Bobby Roode having to use a beer bottle beat Sting, and then after the match, Sting's kind of just fighting back already. It was a stupid ending. And it was the main event. The way it ended was horrible. The way the Bobby Roode Sting angle ended was horrible. It really was. It wasn't a horrible feud, but at the same time, it's the worst one because it had no true benefit overall. It didn't have that nice culmination feud of something that mattered. It was just there, and it meant nothing, and that sucks. It really does. Number 3, Anderson vs. Hardy, Sacrifice. The match wasn't bad, but the ending overall was shitty. And the way through the year at random points they would try to put Anderson in main event spots for the World Championship was stupid. Anderson is no longer a main eventer. I hate to say it, he could have been in WWE because they were building him right, but no longer is he a main eventer for TNA, at least now. He is a upper mid-carder at best. Maybe even just a mid-carder. He should be trying to shoot for the television title like he did, but he is a mid-carder right now at best. Number 2. Rain, like Shilling Daddy would say. Madison Rayne versus Brooke Tessmacher, Hardcore Justice. You had Madison Rayne win the Knockout title with the whole Earl Hebner storyline just for her to lose the belt on Impact. This was stupid. The match sucked. Madison Rayne sucked. The Madison Rayne Earl Hebner line sucked. Bring in Taryn Terrell sucked. Everything about this had a flaming thing of suck. And even with how much this sucked, there was still something worse. Number 1. Zema Ion, Jesse Sorensen against all odds. When it comes to the point where somebody gets their neck broken in the match, it is to blame who decided the spot, who decided that spot on that side of the ring, and who was in the way. Zema Ion crunched up. Jesse Sorensen still tried to catch him. He didn't try a different angle. So Jesse's to blame for not preparing properly. Zema Ion's to blame for crunching up. If it was one of them, both of them, or whoever said let's do it on this side of the ring is an idiot. You can tell just by looking at it. Whoever decided to do the backflip on that side of the ring is an idiot. There's a reason they don't try stuff on that side of the ring usually, because it's not that big of an area. They usually try it on the side that has the stage. There's enough area to do your flippy flip, whoopty whoops, skippy skips, and hooty hoops. Okay, on that side, to do a moonsault, it obviously didn't work. And Jesse Sorensen is still recovering because of it. Almost a year later, he's still recovering from it. I still think that today, if you went down the line, Jesse Sorensen could have been a hell of an X Division competitor. He still could have worked on his craft in the ring. But what you get instead is a guy who's gone. Zema Ion pretty much still benefiting his career for breaking somebody's neck. Nothing good came from it, really. But whatever. Number 5, Joe vs. Aries Slammiversary. Good one-on-one match. It killed that whole weight limit for the X Division thing for a while they had for whatever stupid reason. But now it's back to weight, not weight limits, but no limits, and that's the way it should be. With Austin Aries, when he picked up Samoa Joe and hit him with the Brainbuster, that's when I stopped and said, you know what? Austin Aries should be bigger than the X Division. He should be a world champion. That's what opened my eyes for Austin Aries, and hopefully it's what opened for a lot of your guys' too. Number 4, Jeff Hardy, Austin Aries, Turning Point. Not a great story by any means, but Austin Aries getting his rematch in just a badass ladder match. Brutal, some comedy when Austin Aries raised the title even higher and they had to get a bigger ladder. Just a lot of good shit here. Really good match. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Number 3, James Storm, Bobby Roode, Turning Point. Looking back, I agree with the fact James Storm didn't win the world title. I really do. I still felt it added more. If James Storm would have capitalized there, then really it wouldn't have the right capitalization. It wouldn't have been built long enough over time. When we got that match at Bound for Glory, it felt right when it ended. It wouldn't have felt right at Lockdown. It wouldn't have felt the heel got enough edge. From Lockdown, Bobby Roode got enough edge, enough capitalization in the feud overall to go ahead and say, you know what, it's time to end the feud and give James Storm that win. It wouldn't have worked right at Lockdown, so I'm actually glad the way Lockdown went down. I wasn't at the time, but I am now. Number 2, Austin Aries, Bobby Roode, Destination X. Like I said, you know when Mike Tenay gets excited, nowadays it means something. And he got excited when Austin Aries won the belt. It was a pretty damn good match. where they're actually selling the gimmick that you can give up your X Division title to fight for the world title annually. I hope they're still doing that because that's a pretty good concept, and it opens the door for new contenders like an Austin Aries or maybe a Kenny King, a Jesse Sorensen, a Zaman, whoever the case might be. So I'm glad they did that. And this was just a damn good match with Austin Aries ending the streak of Bobby Roode. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. And look at Austin Aries today. He's still benefiting. Number one, not a whole lot of surprise probably to anybody. Bobby Roode, James Storm, Bound for Glory. King Mo is special enforcer. Take it or leave it. He didn't do anything. But the match itself was good. The only thing holding this back was the fact it was in the beginning half of this show. That is the only thing holding back. This should have been the co-main event, and it wasn't. But it was so damn good. The way it was done, the way it ended. Really, really good. The honorable mention for the best was also Storm defeating Roode and Styles. But since you got Storm pretty much winning and then going nowhere from there, in fact, giving his title shot to Bobby Roode practically, kind of stupid. But just the way Bound for Glory ended, with that match at least, I'll take it any day. So that's my list. That's my best and worst of 2013 in wrestling. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Kind of a long one. Hope you got some snacks along the way. Hope you got a little drinks. Whatever the case you needed to get through this video. If you watched the whole thing, I thank you very much. Kind of a longer video I usually do. But hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Give me video responses if you want. Some of the awards, whatever the case might be. Comment who you thought deserved best, worst, blah, 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 top match. Did I miss one in your opinion? Whatever the case might be. Just go ahead. Give me some feedback. I enjoyed doing this. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching. This is it for the Wrestling Mayhem. If you have not, you can subscribe up above. You can like this video. Comment any and all thoughts you might have on the best and worst of 2012 below. And that's it for this video. Talk to y'all later. Peace.